Greetings. Before we start this episode on our favorite military movies of all time, I felt the need to recognize and celebrate family and friends that have served in our beloved military. In no way are we glorifying the exploits of war. The effects are lifelong and can come home with each soldier, and in no way are we making light of that. Instead, we want to focus on certain special attributes such as integrity, honor, courage, loyalty, camaraderie, and pride. I created a slideshow with collages of friends and family to recognize and celebrate their selfless duty to this country. And to clarify, whether you have been deployed or not, if you are a member of our reserves or any facet of the military, we honor your loyalty to this country. Thank you. What's up, everybody, to a brand new episode of Media Chop Up. I am your boy Serge, aka Sergerilla. I'm also joined by my brother Jason.
How's it going?
What's up, brother? What's up? First off,
Everything's good.
I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody who shared and contributed and was humble enough and gracious enough to share all those pictures from the military, those friends and family. We thank you for your service, and we definitely recognize you. And thank you for all the insights and the conversations. I've absolutely loved and enjoyed all of it. I wish I had more time, but finally, we're here. We can talk about our favorite military movies of all time, which is a very, very difficult feat. Don't you agree?
I agree, man. I mean, just listening to you over the past couple of weeks with all the planning and all the decisions and all the changes.
Yeah, man.
When I mentioned this topic to you, I didn't really do a lot of thinking about how broad this topic is.
Well,
But,
yeah,
but you narrowed it down, and
mhm.
we're good
it
to
is
go.
it
Hopefully,
is broad, and we did kind of want to keep, because there's a trillion movies out there that we can
yeah,
choose from, and we didn't necessarily want to choose from we want to bring it down a little bit, even though it's still a large catalog, but
right,
we wanted it to be either realistic or close to realistic, or based
right.
on a true story, or stories about honor. Not,
hmm
like there's some great movies, like for example Rambo
hmm
and Commando, I guess,
hmm
with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But at the end of the day, like those are more for just, those are made up stories, and
Yeah,
it's
those are
very
action
unrealistic.
movies disguised as war films. Those are really action movies at heart.
It's almost like Rambo is a military version
Yeah,
of John Wick.
Right. I mean, and they're good. Don't get me wrong, but those are pop-up targets kind of movies. You know, boom.
Yes, yes,
You know, it's,
and one great thing about those movies, obviously, being that they're from the '80s,
yeah.
when they have the little cut scenes when they're about to blow something up, and you see the dummies just standing there, it's like, gotta love the '80s.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta love the '80s, you know? So yeah, man. So I mean, listen, we're gonna go through a catalog of movies that are great movies, and then we'll choose out two of some of our favorites.
Right.
But off the top of your head,
Hmm.
out of all the soldiers that you could think of in all these different movies, who's the greatest soldier of all time? Can you give
Wow.
me that
The greatest soldier of all time.
out of all of them?
Man, you could go with General Patton from the movie Patton,
Okay, okay.
which is one I didn't even think about till right
That is,
this second
someone
you asked me.
recommended that to me, and I haven't seen
That
that
one
movie.
popped in my head. George C. Scott.
I got someone better. I got someone better. Someone who has achieved more and
Uh-huh.
basically has checked off so many boxes. That person
Really
was
hit it.
Yeah, that person is Forrest Gump.
Oh man, this guy. Ah, man.
No, that's definitely not real, but that movie is hilarious, and I mean, listen, it's a
Yes,
comedy. It's a
love it.
comedy, and the man played
He was
college
a hero.
football. He was a tennis. He was a war hero.
Yeah.
He was a tennis. Not a tennis. Ping pong champ.
Uh,
He freaking ran across the country. That
when
man
it
did
comes to
everything.
fictional characters, he's the top soldier of all time.
He is. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and to this day, I still anybody who I know who's named Danny, I still have to say Lieutenant Dan. You know,
He got listen. The guy got the Congressional Medal of Honor, man. You can't
yeah,
top that,
you
man.
can't top that. He's so decorated. So
Right.
all right, so let's go get through our movies. Let me go through my our movie catalog, and then you could kind of just shoot me a little information about it if you
Yeah.
like. There's a lot of great ones, and just off the top of my head, I tried. There was
Mhm.
still so many more that I could
Yeah.
just throw in this, but we don't want to be here all day.
Mhm.
And also, it was so hard to pick a movie. It was so difficult. A lot of
It
these movies are
was.
great in their own right. Acting, directing, action, storyline.
Mhm.
There's very little when you think about it that really separates these movies because they can stand alone.
Right.
Um, Obviously, as we'll talk later, a lot of these movies were just coming out one after the other, one after the other.
Yeah.
Especially during Vietnam. You know, and
Mhm.
it was a big part of America and a big part of the silver screen.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start off with a movie that is classic, but I just recently watched it.
Mhm.
Apocalypse Now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we discussed your review of that on
Yes,
over the
yes,
phone.
yes, yeah, yes. So I mean, we don't have to go through it. Really good movie, amazing cast.
Mhm. You just saw
Um,
the wrong version of it.
I saw the longer
The
version of it.
theatrical cut is just right. I don't know why they messed with it, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
good.
I mean, listen, but like I also realized a similarity between movies that came out at that period.
Uh-huh.
Their storytelling was a bit much very lengthy.
Mhm.
And it's one thing if it's all makes sense towards the storyline. I think a lot of it was just fluff, just throwing it in there. They were just trying to like build up their the characters camaraderie so much,
Yeah.
outside that it was just like, okay, that's enough. I get it. These guys are close. But whatever, we'll keep it moving. Next one, which is actually breaking records in the box office now, when they finally came out with a sequel, but the original we're going to talk about, Top Gun.
Mhm.
Right, right. Good
Yeah.
movie. You like that one?
I like it
19
a lot.
1986. Okay.
Mhm.
Then in 87 we have Empire of the Sun, right?
That one is underrated. When you talk about Spielberg's films, this one doesn't come up a lot, and it's a
It
really,
doesn't.
really good movie with a
Yeah.
young Christian Bale.
Yes, that is true. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. And then also you have Tom Cruise again, Born on the 4th of
yeah,
July,
it's a
right?
great movie right there. Yeah,
Uh a movie that I have not seen and someone told me about it.
it's good.
I had no idea that that Fox and Penn were together in this movie. I've never even heard of it. Came
Yeah.
out in 1989, right? I
Mm-hmm.
definitely got to see that. We'll talk about that one later. Hunt for Red
Hunt for Red
October,
October. It's a
great
good movie.
movie. War is just underwater,
Mm-hmm.
but great movie. A movie that I watched a million times that I really enjoyed. I watched it so much that I know I noticed a lot of mistakes in the backgrounds, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
fun. It's funny, yeah. Braveheart,
Mm.
all right. Did you like this movie?
Oh, I loved it.
Great
I loved it.
movie. Inspirational. They did a great job, but
It gets a
yeah,
lot of flack for the history, blah blah blah. It's a great.
exactly. It's
It's entertaining. Come on.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna use a term that we're gonna use throughout this thing, and it's basically uh the Hollywood version of salt. If you put some salt in your food, it's good. If you put too much, you ruin it.
Right.
And Hollywood has that has the they tend to put a lot of Hollywood magic
Mm. Mm-hmm.
on movies, and it
Yeah.
could ruin it.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah, so some people want realism, some people, especially if they know the story, but you get what I'm saying. All right, another great movie, Crimson Tide, Denzel Washington, Gene
Great.
Hackman, great,
I
great,
think
great
it's
movie.
better than Hunt for Red October.
I think so too. I think
I
so
think
too. I love these
it's
guys bouncing off each other. Gene
yeah.
Hackman, a classic, all-time classic that was very hard not to choose, but I'm gonna mention it. Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
great movie, great cast. I like the way they kept these guys away from each other, and then had them go to boot camp. And well, they kept Matt Damon separate, and Matt Damon refused to go to
Mm-hmm.
boot camp, and a lot of people were upset about that. But it kind of showed in the film where the guys were kind of like separate from him.
And the opening of that movie, that first half hour, is unlike anything ever
Powerful.
seen
It's a
or heard
huge
before.
recreation, huge
It's
recreation
it,
of
it
real life
truly is
events.
amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. I heard a lot of people. It was very difficult for them to watch.
Yeah.
Also gracing the screen again in 2000, we have Mel Gibson once again in The Patriot, which
Yeah.
The Patriot was really good.
I
Wasn't as
enjoyed it.
good as I enjoyed what's it called, Braveheart more, but actually, what's his name was in this?
Heath
Uh,
Ledger
Heath Ledger, absolutely a young
yeah,
Heath Ledger. He plays his son, one
plays
of
his
his
son.
sons,
Yeah.
right? Another submarine movie, U-571. All right.
I
Great
enjoyed that a lot.
cast. Great cast. I remember seeing that in the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Also in 2000, Men of Honor, De
That's really
Niro,
good.
Peter Gunn Jr. Great movie, very
Mm-hmm.
very inspirational, based on a real life soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Action packed, Behind Enemy Lines.
I've
Yeah.
never seen that one.
What? You got to watch it. It's a great movie.
Yeah,
It's a good
I've
movie.
never
Gene
seen that
Hackman
one.
again,
But
right?
is it a
Hollywood
action slash war, or is it truly a war film?
action war.
I'm more on the action side. But listen, if it's good, I'll probably take a look at it. But
It's intense.
it just
It's there's an aspect of some of these movies that I look for, right?
yeah.
I'm looking for discipline. I'm looking for loyalty. I'm looking for brotherhood. I'm looking for honor and and bravery
Right.
and I also want to be captivated by the scenes and in that movie I remember thinking like, oh man, how are they going to get out of this? Like they're behind enemy lines.
Right.
Not everything is real life.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of soldiers out there that criticize a bunch of these movies,
Yeah.
and just because they're favorites or mostly watched amongst a lot of fans doesn't mean that they're the
Right.
that they should be chosen.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's action packed. Next, we have a really good movie that I really really enjoyed, Black Hawk Down,
Mm-hmm.
that came out in 2002. Then there was Mel Gibson once again. We were soldiers,
Yeah.
right? Tears of the Sun, right?
But that was really good.
Really good, yeah. What's his name? Bruce Willis. Rescue Dawn,
That was also really good. Yeah.
right? There's so many
Mhm.
movies, man.
It's a lot.
This next movie isn't a fan favorite of I have a friend that he he's a I forgot the title. He's a bomb tech, or he diffuses bombs. He did
Uh-huh.
exactly what they did in the movie Hurt Locker. And I asked him, I said, "What'd you think about it?" He said, "I absolutely hated it. You know, it's very unrealistic. This guy would have got
Wow.
court-martialed the first opportunity, and that's exactly what we talk about. That's that Hollywood salt, that Hollywood magic that they sprinkled all over it. They're like, you know what? We got the stars. We could, you know,
Right.
it's not going to be true to life.
And I
You
love
know,
that movie, but then again, he has
he has a great point.
a better perspective because he was there. He did
Absolutely.
that job. He could look at that screen and say, "Wait a minute, that's wrong. That's right. That's crap."
Absolutely, and they do that with a lot of movies.
Right.
They do that with
I
a lot
thought
of
it was
movies.
a really good movie, but hey,
I liked it too, but our
and it won
perspectives are
Best Picture.
different.
You
He
know?
is, you know, this is what he did for a living, and he's seeing this, and he's like,
Right.
nah, you guys could have did a little bit more homework, please. All
Wow.
right, next up we have Zero Dark 30.
Mm,
Right.
that was
Five
very good.
Academy Award nominations, Best Picture,
From the
2012.
director of The Hurt Locker too. So I guess she did a better job on this one.
Maybe the story. I mean, the storyline. There was more true to life form in Zero Dark 30 than it was in the Hurt
Right.
Locker. You know,
Right.
powerful movies. Lone Survivor,
Yeah, I love that
Mark
one.
Wahlberg, based on true story.
Hmm.
American Sniper, another based on U.S. history. Movie that I absolutely loved, and I didn't know what to think of it because, truth be told, I think he's a great actor, but I don't know at this time in his career, I don't know if I want to see him in a lot of things. But he was great in this movie,
Hmm.
Fury.
Oh, okay, okay.
I really enjoyed this
That
movie.
was really good.
Really enjoyed this movie. Um, Next up we have Unbroken, inspirational type flick.
Yeah.
Flick.
Angelina Jolie, huh?
Yeah, based off a true story. Hacksaw Ridge. Um, my uncle's in the Navy, and he ripped this movie for a horrible review. He was like,
Really?
man, he was like, yo, I was there, and you know, he was breaking down the different steps of war and what
Uh-huh.
step he made it up to and what they did in the movie. And he was,
Hmm.
I think he called them a bunch of bacons, and
Wow.
bacons it just basically means that they, you know, these guys are a joke, and they can't hold up against the real life thing, you know.
Huh.
Then we
Wow.
have Dunkirk, right?
Yeah.
Dunkirk, what year? 17.
2017. Yeah.
And then we have 1917,
That's a
right?
much better film, I think.
Very much so. And the way it was filmed is very different. It's never been
Yeah.
done before. All Quiet on the Western Front. I heard
I can't really see it. I didn't see that yet.
I heard great things about it. I haven't had a chance to watch it, man. There
Right.
was so many people that were giving me recommendations. I saw a lot of the movies, but this is a series and it's on Netflix, so check it out if you have a
And you know
chance.
that's a remake, right?
Yes, I did hear that.
Mm.
I did hear that. Yes, and then I'll end with A Thin Red Line, another
That's one
great
of my
movie.
personal favorites.
Sean Penn, Adrian Brody, Jim Caviezel, John Cusack, George Clooney. My God, Woody Harrelson, Nick Nolte.
Mm-hmm.
Like that cast is amazing.
Yeah.
You know. So, whew. All right. So with all those movies behind us, man, it's a lot of stuff. Let me see if I'm missing anything right here. Yeah, we're gonna get into our choices. So you want to start or should I?
I'll start.
All right. So for your first movie choice, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go with what?
I am going with 1986's Platoon, released exactly 36 years ago today, December 19th,
How ironic.
1986.
It's
Isn't that
almost like we
something?
planned this. Look at these guys,
Yeah.
man. You know,
Yeah.
and I can't help but think of Apocalypse Now when I see Platoon because his son is in this, you know,
Right,
and
right.
I think he did a masterful job
Charlie.
in Apocalypse Now, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, and Platoon is amazing as well, you know, but that's basically something I thought of when I was watching Apocalypse Now. I was like, wow, both of them did a great job, you
And
know.
both of them are narrating it with voiceover.
Very true.
Martin Sheen in
That's a very
Apocalypse and
good point.
Charlie.
Very good point.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So right now we're talking about Platoon. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen. But yeah, man. I mean, before we jump into the questions, I'm gonna do some images right here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I can have everything up. Bang, bang, bang. All right, cool. So first question, which you kind of started answering it. When did this movie come out and why did you select it?
Oh, it came out, well, like I said, it came out December 19th, 1986. I selected it as my number one war film because um, it's a really rich screenplay when you think about it. It begins with Charlie Sheen, who is this young recruit.
Oh,
He comes
actually,
out
I,
of
I
that.
think I think I have the storyline. If
Oh,
you
you
don't
got
mind,
it there?
yeah, I'll read it real quick, and then you can just jump
Yeah,
into
go
it.
ahead.
Right. So, yeah, here we go. Chris Taylor, Charlie
Mhm.
Sheen leaves his university studies to enlist in combat duty in Vietnam in 1967. Once he's on the ground in the middle of a battle, his idealism fades in fighting in his unit between Staff Sergeant Barnes, who believes nearby villages are harboring Viet Cong soldiers, and Sergeant Elias, who has a more sympathetic view of the locals and ends up pitting. This was great. It was a really good movie, and
Mhm.
these guys, the guys opposite Charlie Sheen were
Yeah.
really, really, really good. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was that summary sums it up. I was just gonna say it starts off with Charlie Sheen and you think it's gonna be him. He's writing home to his grandmother, he's questioning why he even made this decision and all that. And
Mhm.
then as the movie goes along, he gets in the middle between this battle of wills between his two sergeants.
Yes, yes,
And what I love about it, if you think about it, Oliver Stone cast them, and them is Willem Dafoe and I'm blanking out. Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger.
Tom
He
Berenger.
cast them against type because leading up to that, Berenger was a guy who played a lot of good guys, and Dafoe played a lot of villains. So in this film, he switched it around, and they're both great, man. I
They
mean,
are great, and he's a great bad guy. And he
yeah,
has he has a scar. He has a scar on his face,
yeah.
right? You could tell like he is not one to be messed with.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and listen, obviously, what's his name is great, and no
Yeah,
matter mostly everything he does. William Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, the combat sequences. Even there's a scene where it's at night, and they're hiding out, and one man has to do like he's the night watchman. He has to stay awake while the other ones sleep, and there's ants crawling all over him, and you
Yes,
feel it, and you
yes, yes,
hear the
yes.
jungle in that film.
Mhm,
You know what I
mhm.
mean?
Yeah,
It's a real intense movie, man. You never know what's gonna happen. There's a
definitely.
scene where they kind of raid this village, and they're on the verge of like raping this young girl, and
Mhm.
Charlie Sheen's go over and stops everything. And that came Oliver Stone. I mean, that's why I think this movie is really authentic because he was there. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? He was an
Yeah.
entry. Oh my God, I can't pronounce the word now. Infantryman,
Infantry.
infantryman
Yes,
in
yes, yes.
Vietnam,
Okay, yeah.
and that scene was he wrote that out of his own experience. There, that happened where one of the soldiers they was trying to rape this young girl,
Mhm.
and all hell broke loose.
It was hard to
So
watch. It was
it's
definitely hard to watch.
it's a tough movie to watch, but it's I think, and I like I said, I think it's really authentic because it's made by someone who was there.
And I give it a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So which takes us to our next question. Obviously, you kind of alluded to it already.
Hmm.
Do you like the director, and what else has he directed? And
Oh well, Oliver Stone is he's a very controversial director.
uh-huh.
He's made some films like JFK, like Nixon, where it
Mhm.
raised eyebrows, but he's a
Yeah.
very brave director.
Mhm.
Platoon is one of the three. He has a trilogy of Vietnam films. That's the first one. The second is Born on the 4th of July. And the
Yes,
third is Heaven and Earth, which came out in 93. A lot of people haven't seen that one.
I haven't.
It's with Tommy Lee Jones. That
Mhm.
one is ranked last in the three big Vietnam films that he's
Mhm.
made.
Yeah,
But he's even with Natural Born Killers, he pushes the envelope. You know what I mean?
definitely. And he's famous for it. He's famous for it.
Yeah.
Next up, obviously, has this movie won any awards?
Oh yeah, it won the big one. It won Best Picture, the Oscar of 1986,
Mhm.
and three others. It won directing, film editing, and sound. So it won 4 out of 8 nominations, which
Okay.
is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice. And finally, do you feel this movie displayed true life realism or otherwise? Which you kind
But
of
here
touched on it already.
right. I mean, we touched on it. I would love to hear some feedback from Vietnam vets on this film who've seen it.
Hmm.
Just you know what I mean? Because it'll be interesting. Like I said, I'm going with that it was authentic,
Mhm.
that it did do a really good job in depicting the battles, and also the man, not only the war, but the war between the soldiers.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
When they
The
when
the
they
the
started basically
friction.
taking sides,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you had soldiers with Barnes and you had soldiers with Elias.
Yep.
And
Yep, yep.
but like I said, it's made by a Vietnam vet, and he was there and he saw battle, and I think he won a Bronze Star too. So he was
Mm.
there, and he wrote this in 1971. He wrote this
Wow.
screenplay in 71, right after that's really soon after he left the place.
Mhm.
You know,
Wow.
and you know what's really interesting
Mm.
is that he wanted Jim Morrison of the Doors to play the Charlie Sheen character,
Really?
and he gave him the script. And when Jim Morrison was found dead in Paris,
Mhm.
he had the script with him.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So because of the death and whatnot,
That is
then
that's deep.
yeah, he was gonna give the part to Emilio's brother.
Uh-huh.
Not, I'm sorry, Charlie Sheen's brother, Emilio
Yeah.
Estevez
Emilio Estevez,
was
yeah.
supposed to play the role. Then some kind of finance thing happened and blah blah blah, and then Charlie Sheen got the part.
That's good to know.
You know,
Wow. I didn't know that.
but yeah, man.
Very cool.
So
All right.
that's my favorite one.
Nice, nice. All right. So I mean, it's your favorite one, but there's so many. It's so
Yeah.
hard to choose from. But yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, that's your first choice. All
Mhm.
right. So my first choice would have to be, and it was very difficult. I was teeter-tottering between my first and second choice, and I
Yeah.
selected something and I unselected it, whatever. It doesn't mean that whatever I didn't pick wasn't great, but I had to go with Full Metal Jacket, Stanley Kubrick's
And that's a
Full
great
Metal
choice.
Jacket, right? I'll read you a little bit of storyline. A pragmatic U.S. Marine observes the dehumanizing effects of Vietnam War has on his fellow recruits, from their brutal boot camp training to the bloody street fighting in Hue. A two-segment look at the effort of the military mindset and war itself on Vietnam-era Marines. The first half follows a group of recruits in a boot camp under the command of a punishing gunnery Sergeant Hartman. The second half shows one of those recruits, Joker, covering the war as a correspondent for Stars and Stripes, focusing on the Tet Offensive. So, yeah, man. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. Um, I well, let me get my things up before, so I can put this up so I could just talk about it. There we go. Right. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie for a multitude of reasons, but let me answer some questions before I jump into the stuff. All right. So when did this movie come out? When did this movie come out? What year did it come out? I have it. I have it.
1987.
1987. I have it in my notes. So that's important to me because I think about what was going on when it came out. There was a
Mhm.
bunch of movies that came out. Some of them came out near each other, some of them came out after each other.
Mhm.
At some point, it's kind of like eating the same food over and over. The
Yeah.
first time you eat it, this is delicious. This is great. Oh my God, I want more. And
Mhm.
then you get the next movie with the same premise, and the third next movie, and the next one. Eventually, you don't, as good as it was, you don't want to keep eating it, right? So
Right.
that's why I think it's important to see how some of these movies can slip under the radar because they're covered or overshadowed by other amazing movies that came before it.
Right.
And the awards committees after a while just like, okay, we've had
Mhm.
enough of the war thing.
Right.
But
But Platoon came out the year before.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and I've speaking to different soldiers, family and friends, I've heard so many crazy stories of Vietnam, and seeing certain aspects of that in these films. Man, it makes me like really like take a step back, and I have a huge amount of respect. And it's the reason why I wanted to take this episode so seriously, because
Yeah.
these things are they scar you. They're hard to watch, but some stories are very true to life form, and so on and so on. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So basically, do I like the director, and what else has he directed? Right. All right, so I got a visual for that one right here. Hold on, let me pull that up. All right. So Stanley Kubrick, he's obviously been involved in so much, and I made this little visual right here. So obviously he did Full Metal Jacket. He was responsible for The Shining and the
Mhm.
original Spartacus and A Clockwork Orange and Space 2001's Space Odyssey. So he obviously knows what he's doing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
He's world renowned. He's very respected, you know.
Hmm.
He's very passionate, man. From the stuff that I've been seeing, man. Yeah, he's very intense, very
Yeah,
very
yeah.
intense. But let me answer these questions before I get into my did you knows. Maybe you can help me with this one. Um, has this movie won any awards? Obviously.
More, if it won anything, it won Critics Awards.
Uh huh.
The one Oscar nomination it got was adapted screenplay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, maybe the lack of Oscar nominations has a lot to do with the Academy experiencing war the year before and giving a war
Hmm.
film their biggest
Exactly.
awards.
Exactly. Yeah.
And here comes another Vietnam film just months later. So
Hmm.
one nomination, and the one I'm really disappointed that it didn't get was Arlie Ermy. He was great, and he was not nominated, which is
He wasn't, and
he
he
did
was
well. He was nominated for a Golden Globe, but
and he was in other war movies beforehand, and
right,
he
right.
wasn't even supposed to be selected for this movie. He had to prove he can
Mhm.
play that role,
And I
and
heard he wrote a lot of those insults
he did.
himself.
He did. He did. And they did like a test run with him, and he
Uh,
he wrote pages, pages, pages,
yeah.
pages of insult. In fact, what did he say? What did he say? There was an insult he did, right?
Uh,
Oh, something about a reach around. And Stanley Kubrick, he says, "Cut. What's a reach around?" And he tells him, "A reach around is this." And then he goes, "Carry on. I like it." Right. And then Stanley Kubrick was like, "What is he talking about? A reach around?" Right. And if you watch this movie, you remember that line, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, definitely. And do I feel this movie displayed true to life realism or otherwise? Absolutely. Absolutely,
Uh,
because this movie actually felt like two separate movies because
right.
it focuses on Paris Island and the training. And some people use the word brainwash. I don't like the word brainwash. I
Hmm.
think they break you down to build you back up as a unit, as a team player. You know, yes, the drill sergeant was hard. Yes,
Hmm.
the drill sergeant was relentless, but he was getting them tougher. He was teaching them team. He was teaching them how to be responsible for your brother. Because he had that one soldier that was just not getting it. And he
Yeah.
was fat and he was slow and mentally and he ended up getting better, but it showed as he got better. He was like losing.
Yes,
Wow,
definitely.
I don't want to say his mind, but like he was losing touch with himself, and he was
Mm-hmm.
and he was he became that single visioned, focused warrior
Yeah,
soldier.
yeah,
Very powerful scenes throughout the movie, especially towards the end of that first sequence in the barracks in the bathroom,
mm-hmm.
right? What do they call the bathroom in the head,
Yeah.
right? And but yeah, love that movie absolutely. I feel like there was certain levels of true realism. The second part of the movie actually shows them in in Vietnam, and it shows them like in the city, and it has one of the most coined, repeated, used in rap songs and songs saying of all time. You know what that saying is?
I can't remember.
Me love you long time, baby.
Oh, okay, okay.
so
It
like
was a long
so
time.
they
Okay.
use that for the movie, and it gave it like a little spice of realism, right? but
Right,
um
right.
but it showed them in war, and it showed them going up against some snipers, and
That scene was
and
amazing.
it was, and the music was also very intense
It was a
during that.
woman, right? The sniper,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and oh my god, that same conflicted feeling you got in watching um your movie, right? In Platoon, where you have, like a difference of opinion in terms of of how to treat somebody in the village or killing
Yeah.
them and so on and so on, is that same feeling, that bad
Right.
feeling in my stomach when they captured her and then
Right.
they were trying to decipher, should they put her out of her misery? Some people were like, yo, she killed some of our brothers, let her
Yeah.
suffer. Man, it was hard. It was
Yeah.
it was difficult. It was gut wrenching to me,
Hmm.
But yeah, so let me get into some did you knows. All right. So did you know that Vincent D'Onofrio, when the drill sergeant called him Gomer Pyle, he was referring to a show from the 60s called Gomer Pyle.
Grandma Pie, yeah.
Did you know that?
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that was a nice touch, right? And you hear it throughout the movie, but I never heard of Gomer Pyle. It came out before me in 60s,
Oh yeah,
you
that's
know.
way back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I thought that was a nice touch. So that was a cool little thing. Next, hold on a second. Um, this one is interesting to me.
Hmm.
Did you know that Matthew Modine turned down some of the most iconic roles for movies? Top Gun. He turned
Wow.
down Wall Street and Back to the Future.
Wow. That I did not know.
Powerful, right?
Damn.
Powerful. And he says that he doesn't regret it. I think every actor, if they ask him, "Oh, do you regret giving up on Matrix, or do you
Right.
regret?" No, no, I'm not. Of course, they're gonna say no.
What I'd like to know is, okay, most of them turned down, a lot of them turned down roles for other roles. So I want to look at the years. I'll do that. Look
Yes,
at the
the
years those
comparison.
films
Yeah.
came out and
Well,
see what films he started.
how about this? I'll one up you. I'll piggyback you off that.
Uh-huh.
Next, did you know Animal Mother, the guy who was played by Adam Baldwin,
Mhm.
was supposed to be played by Arnold Schwarzenegger?
What?
Yes, yes, and he was doing a movie and he passed on it. Schwarzenegger claimed he was too busy to play Animal Mother. The part eventually went to Adam Baldwin. Bruce Willis was offered a part 2 days before he was about to start shooting, and he was about to film the show Moonlighting,
Wow.
right? And then Denzel wanted to be in this movie, but he didn't like that Stanley Kubrick wouldn't send him a script.
Wow.
So
That
imagine
is,
how different this movie would
yeah.
have been with these action stars. It would have been a who's who. It would have
Get
been
to
an
the
all-star
chopper.
squad. I mean, but this is all early in all their careers. But Animal Mother was a very powerful
Yeah.
character who was just like he was an animal, right?
Hmm.
And physically, I can see Arnold doing it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't want to hear his accent in this movie.
And he wasn't, and Predator came out that same year.
So maybe that's what it was. That's
You
what
know
he
what I mean?
chose. I know that Bruce Willis said no because of
Wow.
Moonlighting.
Okay.
He was a
Okay.
couple days shy
And
of,
that
of
show was a
filming it.
hit back in the 80s. So, at
Yeah,
least,
but he could have been a, well, whatever. He's had a very, very great career.
yeah, yeah.
So whatever, right? So I'll give you one last. Did you know? Let me
Hmm.
see, because there's so many good ones. Oh no, I'm missing one. Here we go. Where you at? Did you know? Where'd you go? I have it here somewhere. Did you know? I could just tell you instead. I had a visual. Oh, here we go. Did you know
Hmm.
that Val Kilmer helped Matthew Modine get that part?
Really?
Check this out.
Well,
An envious Val Kilmer was responsible for Matthew Modine getting the role of Private Joker while innocently enjoying pancakes at Sunset Boulevard Diner with David Alan Grier. Modine noticed Val Kilmer giving him the stink eye. When Alan Grier introduced the two, Kilmer told Modine, "Yeah, I know who you are." Right? Now, he was bitter because there was some prior movies that Matthew Modine had won the role of, and Val Kilmer was actually up for it as well.
wow.
So Matthew Modine had no idea about this movie. He asked his agent. He's like, "Yo, what's up with this guy Val Kilmer? Yo, I go to get introduced to him. He gives me the stink eye. and he goes, "Yo, actually, you beat him out for a couple roles, but he's actually doing a movie with Stanley Kubrick right now." And he said, "Sign me up, put me in that in that drawing," and he ended up getting it, and he made history with it.
Huh.
Listen, I think Val Kilmer was great in a lot of things. I mean, it's hard to picture him. I'll just word it like that. It's hard to picture him in Full Metal
No,
Jacket.
Modine did a really good job. He did a good job.
He did, and
Yeah.
I think a big part of the storyline really touched on this, the duality of man, and they kind of put that in the movie theater where his helmet says "Born to Kill," but then he had a peace symbol on it, right?
Right.
And there was a part in the movie he says, "Marine, what is that button on your body armor? A peace symbol, sir. Where'd you get it? I don't remember, sir. What is that you got written on your helmet? Born to Kill, sir. You write "Born to Kill" on your helmet, and you wear a peace button. Was that supposed to be some kind of sick joke? No, sir. You better get your head out of your ass and wire it together, or I will take a giant shit on you. Yes, sir. Now answer my question, or you'll be standing tall before the man. I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir. The what? The duality of man. The jungling thing, sir. So this movie really shows you that. It shows how he had to turn into something else.
Yeah.
Right? To survive. He had to turn into another version of himself. The duality of man. We have a version of us that we know of, that we deal with on a regular. What you have to turn into over there is something totally different.
Right.
So I liked how they did that, and it was a very powerful film, and I'm a big fan of it. So that was my first choice.
It was a very good choice, man.
Yes. You can't really go wrong, right? You can't really go wrong. No. What about you? What about your next one? Oh, I didn't even write
my second choice is.
Let me put it in. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Right here. Your second choice is
Glory.
Okay.
1989.
Great movie. Tell me who was in that movie.
Wow, what a great cast, man. Matthew Broderick plays the Colonel. Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Cary Elwes, Andre Braugher. I think that's Andre Braugher's first film. I think. Did I say Morgan Freeman? Yeah, it's a great
Freeman.
Cast,
yep. Mm-hmm.
Terrific cast.
Yeah. Powerful movie. You want me to pull up the storyline for that?
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah. How about you narrate it?
Yeah, I got you. So, Glory, following the Battle of Antietam, Colonel Robert Gould Shaw, played by Matthew Broderick, is offered command of the United States' first all-African American regiment, the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry, with junior officer Cabot Forbes, played by Cary Elwes. Shaw puts together a strong and proud unit, including the escaped slave Trip, played by Denzel Washington, and the wise gravedigger John Rawlins, played by Morgan Freeman. At first limited to medium manual tasks, the regiment fights to be placed in the heat of battle. Yeah.
Great movie.
That pretty much sums it up.
Great movie. So I guess we'll answer those same questions. So like, when did this movie come out? Why did you select it?
Well, it was released, the exact release date is December 15th, 1989. So the anniversary of that too just passed. Wow, these movies come out. They come out late in the year, a lot of them, but
isn't that crazy? It's around Christmas?
Yeah. A lot of dramas, a lot of serious-minded films come out late to qualify for Oscars. That's just how it goes.
Yes, absolutely.
And anyway, I picked Glory. Again, this was a tough choice. It was between Glory and two other movies. I went with Glory because of the history. Because I remember vaguely in like junior high learning about the Civil War and stuff like that. But when Glory came out, and you see that it was about a black infantry, it was this is something original here. I don't think we've seen movies like that before. I mean,
what year was this again? What year did it come out?
1989. You know what I mean?
It was a lot of competition. What did it go up against?
What do you mean in the
in 89? Yeah.
Well,
Do you remember?
it was up for 5 Oscars. The controversy was it was not nominated for Best Picture of the Year, which was not good at all.
Yeah.
In fact, Denzel, when he won his Oscar for it, he kind of, took a little poke at the Academy. He's, in his speech, he said, "I'd like to thank the director and the producer who made what I consider to be one of the least 5 best films of the year." And
Yeah.
people cheered that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, come on, Dead Poet Society over that.
Yeah.
Give me a break. I mean, good movie, but come on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and Glory is a really, it's an emotional ride. It's told through the eyes of a white character. That's the thing. Now, a lot of Glory is a movie that I don't want to say exaggerated. They did do certain things in it where, for example, they presented the 54th as the first black regiment. They weren't really the first. There were black soldiers before that they had go out in battle just to see how they did. And then if they didn't do well, they just kept it hush hush. But the 54th was the first publicized black unit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But even with those little liberties that they took, it's a great movie, man. I mean,
yeah.
What
is one of the most? I mean, I've seen it. It turned into a huge meme. It's a part of this movie. You know what specific moment became a big part of meme history?
When Denzel's whipped,
and he's tearing.
And that one tear rolls down his cheek.
I've seen that used for so many things. Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of our past episodes of Tearjerkers, we used a picture of Denzel crying, right?
Yeah.
But powerful. He's getting whipped, and he's just one tear comes out. Great movie. All right, next question. Do you like the director? What else has he directed?
Oh, here we go. This director now, his name is Edward Zwick, and he might be one of the directors that's discussed the least. And if you think about the movies he's made, right? Glory, right? Here's some movies that he's directed: Glory, Legends of the Fall, Courage Under Fire, The Siege, The Last Samurai, Blood Diamond, Defiance,
wow. Yes,
and the second Jack Reacher film.
Yes.
He also won out. He won an Oscar for producing Shakespeare in Love, a movie that I don't really like that much because it beat Saving Private Ryan. But as a director, you see the titles under his resume. He's a terrific director. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of. You saw those titles; all of them are good movies.
Yeah. I mean, The Siege, I wasn't crazy about, but it was a good movie.
Yeah,
it was a good movie. Denzel was in that, right?
Right, Denzel. Yeah. Bruce Willis,
yeah. I miss Bruce Willis, man. Brucey boy. All right. But okay. Has this movie won any awards?
Well, yeah, it did end up winning 3. It was up for 5 Oscars. Denzel won supporting actor. It won cinematography, and it won sound. So it did well at the Oscars, but again, the Best Picture snub, that was bad. It should have been up there. It should have been up there with Do the Right Thing.
Okay. And you kind of hinted at this already. Do you feel like this movie displayed true to life realism or otherwise?
Well, I did some research, man. I looked up this book where this guy, his name is Andrew Knighton, right? And basically what he does is that he reviews films. He's a historian and also a Civil War historian. And I quote, this is what he said, right? It's one of the quotes. There's a lot. We can't go through all of them. He says, the climax of the regiment's assault on Fort Wagner is among the most realistic depictions of American Civil War combat. That's in the end, where they're basically committing suicide. They're running towards cannons and gunfire and bayonets.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I've learned about that, yeah.
Not only the combat, but the scenes of just racism, you know what I mean? Where they're constantly being harassed and having things thrown at them and people calling them, the N-word and I think it did a great job.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed. It's a movie it holds up against many of these war movies, but I don't hear about it a lot,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Anything else you want to share on Glory?
I don't think I made any more notes on it,
If you don't have
but
anything
that's
else, you
about
don't have
it.
anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so
Now,
we'll
what's your
get.
second choice?
It was so hard. It was so hard. I was gonna go with Deer Hunter. I was.
Mm-hmm.
De Niro, Christopher Walken, amazing cast,
Yeah.
powerful movie. But as I was doing the research on it, I came across some information that I didn't appreciate.
Right.
Now, this kind of circles back to what I said earlier about Hollywood magic, that salt
Uh,
they sprinkle. I didn't like the fact that they did not tap into any military advisors.
hmm.
Um, they achieved the goal of telling a story of friends that go to war and don't come back the same. They're
Right.
no, they're still loyal to each other, but then they're just mentally not all there anymore in terms of like the same way they were when they left.
Right.
They the story that they told was a story of them getting captured together at war and playing a game of roulette to survive
Mm-hmm.
with the barrel, and they spin the thing, and it's like they show like a underground following of a market of people just playing that game against each other, the roulette. And I didn't number one, I didn't appreciate they didn't tap into any military stories for
Mm-hmm.
realism. So certain aspects of it I consider realistic because it did depict the the effects of war and coming home,
Right.
and
Right.
how just because you're home doesn't mean that you're whole.
Right.
You know, you lose a big part of your brothers out there, of this stuff that you can't unsee. But there's not one recorded um confirmed story of them playing roulette, Russian roulette over there with
Mm.
guns. So I didn't like that, in Vietnam,
Right.
So listen, does it take away from it? No. But I decided to go with a movie that was recommended to me from a friend who served. His name is Joe. And a couple guys recommended some movies, like Sandcastle was recommended to me, and I was thinking about it. And Sandcastle someone told me that he said, "Hey, you want a movie that isn't as big with the big Hollywood stunts and all the big storylines and actors as you
Mm-hmm.
normally see in all these bangers?" He goes, "This is a great movie because it just shows a unit that is just doing like a regular job. You
Right.
get tasked with different jobs while you're out there, and it
Yeah.
ended up becoming a mission that was damn near impossible, and how they survived. And you know, it was a very powerful movie. Superman was in it. Henry how you say his last name? Cavasso? Cavasso? I
Caviezel?
forgot.
Caviezel?
Caviezel, yeah, he's in it. He's jacked
Okay.
up, but
No.
good movie. But I was gonna pick that, but ultimately I ended up choosing the movie The Outpost. The,
Okay.
the Outpost. Let me show everybody what it looks like real big, so they can see it. Um, it came out in 2020. Okay. Um, there's not a lot of
Peaceful.
huge names in it.
Huh.
Orlando Bloom was in it, and he wasn't
Okay.
in it for very long.
All right.
But this is based off a true story. So let me give you the storyline for it.
Mm.
During the Afghanistan war, several outposts were placed to control the Taliban movement and their supply chain. Camp Keating, situated in a valley surrounded by mountains, was one of them. While being shot at by the Taliban's was business as usual, they tried to gain the respect from local villagers and elders and have them to help stop these skirmishes. One day, when 400 Taliban rallied for a surprise attack, it was up to them to leverage the poor defenses and lack of ammo and manpower they had to ultimately survive and go back to their loved ones. So I'll give you a little more information before I get into it. Came out July 3rd, 2020. Rob Lurie is the director. You can see what the budget was for it and so on.
Lurie's a good director.
Great director. Scott Eastwood, the son of Clint Eastwood, is in this.
Mhm.
Orlando Bloom, Caleb Landry, Mel Gibson's son, Milo Gibson, is in this.
Wow.
Bunch of people you've seen in other movies, but not a lot of A-list type of character, actors. It doesn't, mean that it wasn't good. It was a great movie.
I gotta put that on my list. Then
you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it, and it was so good that I want to watch it again. And it's not like some movies you watch, it's like, oh, action, and I love it. But yes, this movie was action, but I was captivated. I was captivated by the cinematography. I was captivated by the storytelling. I was captivated by the impossible conditions that these guys had to work in, to stay alive. There was a line in it where they were like, listen, when you call home, you don't tell your family where you are, because it's almost guaranteed us being posted here. This is death. This is death. You don't take off your helmet when you take a shower. No matter where you go, you have to wear your helmet, because you were basically surrounded by these huge mountains on both sides, and they were in this valley that was so dark because they were in this blocked by the mountains, that you didn't even have moonlight to light the way at night. So they had to use night vision. So basically, you got the worst position to be, which is on the bottom, so anyone can get you from the, at an aerial view, and it's hard to get them or see them, especially in the darkness. And people came down that mountain constantly and was shooting at them. There's even a scene where one of the guys is taking a shower, he's butt ass naked, and he's wearing his helmet, and they shoot. He gets shot like in the head, in the helmet, like, oh shit. He grabs his gun and he's shooting back at the enemy butt ass naked. It shows that you had to be ready at all costs. So great movie. Let me get to the next question and I'll show you. Hold on. Do I like the director? Absolutely, I like him. Lurie is great. I'll show you a little visual on him. Rob Lurie, he's been involved in The Outpost, The Last Castle, Nothing But the Truth, The Contender, Resurrecting the Champ. He's been in a bunch of movies, but he's very creditable. He took this movie very seriously, honoring these soldiers, because this is all based on a true story, and 2000 wasn't even that long ago,
right.
And a lot of these guys won in real life, won all the best medals that you could possibly win, honorable medals. A lot of them who passed away were given these medals.
You wonder how anyone comes out of that alive, right?
Basically, and I really want your feedback when you finish watching this movie.
All right.
But it was a really, really good movie. It absolutely displays true life realism. They wanted to keep it as true to form, even where Lurie was taking pictures with the real life soldier who they were playing and who they were honoring. They absolutely they used soldiers that were a part of that war, and they have them as actors as well. So they're playing parts. So you'll see a lot of them playing parts, like you see over here. Real life soldiers, advisors on the set of The Outpost. Several of the surviving soldiers were technical advisors on the film, including Medal of Honor recipient Ty Carter, who was played by Caleb Landry, who did a freaking awesome job. Daniel Rodriguez, who took part in the real-life battle of Kamdesh, portrays himself in the movie. Other veterans who also acted in the movie, including Henry Hughes. Some of the soldiers were also at the battle, are interviewed by the book's author, Jack Tapper, during the closing credits. Director Rob Lurie himself, a West Point graduate and an Army veteran. Right? Now, one of the soldiers who survived this wrote a book called The Outpost. And this story, the untold story of American valor, this story is exactly that.
Wow.
So powerful film. This Caleb Landry, man.
I gotta see that.
I don't want to give too much,
Yeah,
but you know how they do in certain movies where everything is so gritty,
yeah.
and then their blue eyes, like really pop, as filthy as they are, they pop. You can feel the emotion, the intensity, the passion.
Hmm.
I get all of that from this actor, and I got emotional watching it. I felt helpless. I
Yeah.
felt trapped because they were coming. They were facing an enemy that was relentless, and they were outnumbered, and they were undermanned, and they ran out of ammo, and they were hiding in vehicles. And there was a scene where Caleb, right? What's his full name? I got it right here. Excuse me. Caleb Landry,
Mm.
Landry Jones, basically like he wants to get out there because his brother is shot out there in the field, and there's only two guys left, and the only thing that's saving them from dying is hiding in this vehicle, and they have no ammo or barely any ammo, and they're praying for backup, and the backup's like, yeah, we're 45 minutes away. Like, what? We're not gonna survive 45 minutes. And Caleb Landry opens the window, and he's like, I'll be right there, I'll be right there. And the other guy who's with him is like, you're not going out there. Dead bodies bring about dead bodies. If you go out there to save him, you're gonna die. He
Mm.
and it's just me and you. We have each other's back. And he was like, I gotta go. I gotta go. Like he was just in there, like, no, please, please. Like he didn't care. He was
Yeah.
selfless. His actions were heroic, to say the least. They were so close to just kind of just retreating to one building and locking all themselves in, and then a lot of the leaders in this were all taking out. So it took a soldier to step up and say, "No, we could still beat them. Let's just hold down this portion, and we
Mhm.
and we'll do this." And it's a great movie.
Hmm.
So that was my choice. The Outpost. I
That has to
appreciate.
be, sorry to cut you off. That has
Mhm.
to be a really great movie for you to pick it over all those other ones, because you had a lot to choose from.
See,
So
see,
now I
so
really want to see it.
so yeah, you should absolutely see
Yeah.
it, and I'll watch it in the Fire Stick because I thought it's not on Netflix, that I hooked you up with. But yeah, man. I mean, listen, it doesn't say did it win any Emmys, Oscars? No, no. But the story was
Did
it
that
touched.
play in theaters or was it direct streaming? Was it
I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
okay?
I'm
Because
not
all
sure.
right,
But look, I'll be honest with you. I've never heard of it.
yeah.
I've never heard of it, and my friend Joe told me, he goes, "You want a great movie based on true life events, intense, powerful. It gives you everything that you're looking for: honor, loyalty, brotherhood,
Mm-hmm.
all that, all in one." And it does, you know. And the guys do a great job in this. Or everybody does. Everybody does. And I loved when I was doing the research on it. I loved how they tap into actual soldiers, and it actually had real life soldiers that were out there in this
Wow.
movie, because it was viewed, if you got that post, as a death sentence, pretty much.
Hmm.
They told everyone there, don't think about home, because home will kill you. If your mind is not focused on here, you're not gonna make it. It's almost guaranteed. So, that's a lot of war. That's a lot of military movies.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool, and I appreciate all the feedback, and I wouldn't have discovered some of these movies if that was the case,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love the conversations. I love people sharing with me how it feels to serve in war, how some people, how they feel to be a reserveman, how it feels to not be deployed and wanting to be out there. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to I was asking so many questions, like, how does this movie make you feel, being that you haven't been out there yet? And
Right.
I got so many amazing opinions, and so much great feedback. So I have a huge amount of respect for all of you, man. I salute all of you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there I guess we could summarize everything up right now. Is there anything you want to throw in there?
Well, I'm gonna echo your sentiments and commend you for that opening, man. That was really well done,
Thank you.
well written.
A
You know
lot
what
of
I mean?
pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself.
I
It could have been
recognize
a little
that
bit better, yeah, but
I
um,
recognize that a lot of people in that opening, for who we work with. I had no idea about some of them.
yeah,
Mr. Sergeant Torres,
yes,
the bomb tech.
both of them.
I met
I didn't.
him.
I knew he was in the military. I didn't know he was a bomb
Yeah,
threat. Yes.
he did a when I was training last year at Manhattanville. They brought him in to speak to us, and I forgot who introduced him. Anyway, she said, "I'm going to introduce you to Sergeant Torres, and he has a very, very fascinating background, and I want him to share it with you." And that's how I found out what he did. And I'm like, and the first thing that came to my mind was the Hurt Locker,
Yes.
because
Yes. Yes. Yes.
that
Same thing with
movie,
me. Same thing with me. Yeah.
right? So yeah,
So I
a real
basically
good
reached
job.
out to all my brothers at work and family and friends and so on and so on. And I said, hey
Yeah,
man, I would love to pay tribute to you if you're willing to share some pictures or images, if you want to shout out your loved ones or whatever.
right.
Do it. I mean, your fallen brothers or whatever. It was so much. I received so much. I had to turn some of them down. Making these collages was
Hmm.
a lot, but I would make them and I would send it to that person, and they were thankful and they were grateful, and I loved seeing them in this light. Like, listen, I have
Yeah,
a huge amount of respect for them. They're my brothers,
right,
but I have even more respect for them now. Seeing these
right,
images, especially the dated ones, the older
hmm,
ones, you know, um, they tell a whole nother story of their lives, you know.
right, right.
So and the conversations, man, I love getting into it, man. If someone's willing to talk about it, I'll love to kind of share and
Hmm.
tap your brain. My father was a Marine. um he made it home safely, thank God. um I have a huge amount of respect for his sacrifice and what he endured.
Yeah.
you know um I've heard stories from family and friends. It's a very serious thing.
Hmm.
But if there's one thing that we can do, we can all rally together and show love and support for each other and enjoy each other's company. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you everybody for sending me all those pictures and sharing those stories and teaching me about ranks
Hmm.
and all these different, of all the different military forces and so on and whatnot. So I'm gonna end it there. Thank
Yeah.
you all for thank you for putting everything into this. I know it wasn't easy.
It's my pleasure, man. It's
This
a
is
lot of fun.
it's a lot of information to kind of retain. My notes are pages and pages and
Yeah.
pages long, bro. Like
Yeah.
I really go in on all this, but and whatever free time I have. But
Right.
we're gonna end this episode with a motto from my brother up in heaven, Rick. I hope you're watching us. Thank you, everybody. Until next time.
All right. Good night.
Peace.
Do what you love and
Love what you do. Later.
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 All right.